Necharak Seker, Nutatered Seker, Anuk Seker. This is your brother, Kepra Patah. Today we're going to do a video on Seker, but first, I'd like to pay homage to my ancestors, elders, teachers, and guides, those who are here as well as those on the other side. Seker, the Memphite guardian of the city of the dead, also known as the necropolis. There's a pattern of cycles in which the universe functions as stated. The main theme of the universe is it's cyclical in nature. This is explained in Mustafa Galal's book, The Cosmology. Seker is depicted as a hawk-headed mummy, often with the white crown of Upper Kemet, and holding the Neka, the Heka, and the Wa scepters, meaning that he has power, authority, and discernment. He is often standing on the primordial mound, representing that which rises from obscurity or from nothingness and into perfection. Sphere 3, Seker, according to Ram Neframen's book, The Metal Netter, Volume 1, it deals with structure and divine design. He also deals with the concept of time because all things must at least appear to come to an end in the physical realm, but nothing is permanent, not even the so-called end. So the Seker personality type and the Seker personality itself is really kind of like Kronos. Kronos is also Father Time. Therefore, he represents those who are elders and those who were doers. Why? Because they don't speak a lot. They just do things and get things done. There are those who are very reserved in speech, and this is because they know the secrets, and these secrets are what they are because to define them and explain them is to limit them. So these elders, they know the secrets, and they understand how to be one with divine order. Their secrets because in order for them to be understood, they have to be experienced. So the elders who understand these secrets seem to have the ability to carry things out and get them done with ease because they're one with divine design. Seker represents that level, and not only that level of being, but also experience. So those who have Seker traits seem to be able to speak what they want into existence, as well as see their projects through on every level. In the Sphere 3, there's the aspect of one being studious and austere, also the mapping out of blueprints. This also is the sphere of farmers, miners, subway workers, and builders of tombs. This indicates that Seker is not only the netter of sacred structures, but also that which works below the surface of our perception. Also, Seker deals with the cycles of birth, life, death, and resurrection via various cycles of harvest. Since those who are connected to Seker deal with the unseen realm, they have the ability to be very effective with very few words. Another aspect of Seker is when he is combined with Patah and Oser, he is Patah Seker Oser, because in this aspect he is the generative, organizing, and destructive force in nature, the God. The threefold active principle is necessary so that nothing remains stagnant forever. Therefore, the cosmos is forever renewing itself. Understanding that there is an order of how things take place in our cosmos, and there are seasons in different times of the year. This is when certain flowers may bloom and eventually wither away due to the moving of cycles. It is an understanding of cycles, structures, and hierarchies, and why there are limitations, delays, and obstructions in a person's life. This is where one must understand that there is a cosmic structure and therefore cosmic order, hence the word cosmos and the origin of the word cosmos, meaning order. Now, when we look at ancient civilizations like Kemet, we see that its engineers were able to build high-tech structures in stone. This is where Seker manifests as the netter of divine origin and divine design. Yet he also reminds us of the fact that this physical realm is a result of an unseen realm, a spiritual dimension where it is important to respect spiritual laws that will become obstructions in our lives if these laws are ignored, neglected, or dishonored. Like many African traditions, it was and is understood that the spirit of the so-called dead are not really dead and can at the same time have influence on what we consider to be the living. And this is why it is deemed necessary that on the departure from this life, the spirit of the departed must be conveyed to the land of the ancestors with variations of prayers and rituals. The structures of the ancient world is said to be musical and harmonic in nature, music and harmony in stone. And you'll find this in the works of Mustafa Gadala as well. Now, this is where we find the part of the quadrivium that deals with astronomy. When understanding structure and order, we begin understanding structure, but we also see that there's a natural order of things. We see the spiritual dimension behind structures. According to African traditions, everything that we see has a spiritual essence or spiritual nature behind it. When we look around, we see what appears to be orderly, but looking down from a helicopter, it would also appear to be chaotic. But even within the chaos, you will see elements of order, from the people on the corner shooting crap games on the sidewalk, to the police precincts further down the street where everyone is dressed in uniform. Further down, you may also see that there are cars on the road, and at the end of the road, there's a car crash. And all these things are taking place simultaneously. However, when things have structure, they have now been given definition. So in order for law and order to be maintained, it has to have an adherence to structure and social orders. These are things in which one must be educated, or one have to observe nature when it comes to how things function, not just in the universe, but also in society. Unfortunately, there has been an imbalance where there has been an unfair treatment as well as unfair hegemony, in which keeps other people and certain groups of people from rising, while others may stay on top. Now, this is an understanding of the creation of structure. However, structure has to be understood to deal with a divine flow in how the universe stays intact. Structure has been used against certain groups of people to work against them, and those who are in dire need of assistance have instability in their lives because they may be denied that assistance. Okay? So this is contrary to divine order and divine law. So these structures can be found within West African-based traditions where they appeal to certain forces of nature that the ancestors venerated and understood to be cosmic intelligences behind the structures and behind the forms, as well as the elements and forces of nature. Nature's universal patterns are considered sacred, which is why Sphere 3, Seker, is close to Tahuti of Sphere 2. And this is because we see where the three spheres work in unison, understanding a higher cosmic order in which we would like to manifest within our lives. People who deal with the energies of Seker are good planners because they recognize that things have to take place in sequential orders in this physical realm. We have been taught to believe in linear time. However, when we look at nature, we come to the realization that we live in a realm that is cyclical as well. And we must keep in mind that there's always a process. There are sequential events where we grow and evolve by learning to take steps as opposed to skipping over them. Like, for instance, it is said that you do not put the cart before the horse. And of course, for anyone who expects this to work, they disregard the fact that such an arrangement would defy the laws of physics. Common sense, right? Also, when a Seker facility is developed, or the Seker faculty is developed within the individual exhibits the ability to concentrate and manifest things in which they want to see in life. Seeing things through becomes a priority. Students are able to concentrate on and manifest the things that they want because they have learned certain principles. And the student of nature and the student of the science comes to understand that she or he can pull things out of his or her psyche. The student can concentrate on the goal with such as that their assignments will come into being as far as being finished by staying focused until it is finished. The difference from how we learn and how we're educated in the standard Western educational system, where what is encouraged to rush everything. They're also told that they have to read a whole chapter in 10 minutes, and then they're given the quiz by the teacher, as if they're capable of holding all that information that they just read and digesting it, processing it, and delivering it accurately. This is not how the mind works. However, it shouldn't be surprised that the students would have trouble giving adequate discussions on certain assignments and subject matters. It takes a minute for the brain to break down and digest new information. It's because we also see where Seker deals with the mind and the ability to process information and deal with forms as it is processing. Sphere 2, we see it deals with memory, or actually that would be sphere 9. It deals with memory and repetition. This is where learning comes through repetition. And it becomes important because the more you repeat something, the better you become at eventually mastering that particular thing. It becomes automatic or second nature. Once one has learned and mastered this ability to whatever it is that they're concentrating upon, they can become a person who has completed a study in this particular field. But you see, there's always more to learn. So they're learning about the underlying structure that makes plans come into fruition accordingly. So those who do not understand this principle are those who run into delays and obstructions. However, it starts in understanding that one must be able to see things through, which is why it is important to learn how to complete certain things according to a certain time and certain arrangements, because everything that we're doing in this physical realm deals with time and space and the illusion of locality. So in the world of education, the student has to learn how to study and complete work in a timely manner. This can be achieved by respecting structure, Seker, sharpening the memory, Aset, and charging the imagination, Het. The standard Western education system has trained its students to learn how to follow instructions, to live a linear lifestyle where they only see things linearly. However, remember, it is important to work with both hemispheres of the brain, not just the left side of the brain. And it's important to understand both the linear and the cyclical natures and patterns in the universe. So in sphere 3, Seker, one learns both how to concentrate and how to restrain. Self-restraint is very important, and it's called a discipline. The discipline of being able to restrain oneself from acting is one thing, but once this is impressed upon the subconscious, the individual will discover that to have such restraining power becomes second nature as well. To do things in a certain sequential order over and over again until they become second nature, and then it's impressed upon the person's life force, which is linked to the subconscious. Therefore, we see that the ability to still the thought process is to make the mind appear to be blank. It would be discovered that to make the mind appear to be blank, it becomes a problem when you put forth too much effort. The method is to breathe in a certain way and ignore the thought process, and then eventually the thoughts will appear to fade away and slow down. So you are the self one that's generating reality, or you are the self that is generating reality. You are conscious, meditating on consciousness itself. According to Herodotus, it spoke of the ancient priests of Kemet and their knowledge of sacred vowels. With simple observation of the English language, we see that there are vowels and consonants. Every language uses vowels and consonants when it comes to speech, but not necessarily in the written script. As an example, when you look at the Hebrew language as well as the Middle Netter, or the hieroglyphic language, you're going to see that most of the script consists of what we consider to be consonants. This is why there's so much speculation and debate around how the words of both languages may have sounded. We take note of the ruins of these ancient civilizations in which we see testimonies of such knowledge that we have stood the test of time, or that have stood the test of time. We'll also notice that the stories match up. These stories built these societies built these monolithic temples and monuments. And what they all share in common, we see that these stories of creation all have the same theme. And we also see where they suggest that creation is held together with light and sound. The ancients also spoke about the ability to transform your environment, your inner self, as well as the outcome of the event through the chanting of words of power, which they call hekau, and mantras, as well as manipulation of physical realm items by arranging objects and locations. Now, when Seker works in unison with Ptah and Asar, as spoken earlier, they work as the one being in the form of Ptah, Seker, Asar. This is an ongoing generation, organization, and dissolution of the elements. And this is because one goes beyond the level of consciousness and they become one with existence itself. So it goes about touching upon a side that's beyond perception, that goes beyond the senses. The Seker faculty also deals with being able to go into different states of consciousness, like Amen, Amun, Ama, and so forth. So we're going to have more on this as time goes on. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. Anyway, I'd like to say, give thanks and praise to all the spirits of those who are enthusiastic about learning about the Kemetic legacy, and those who would like to make the world a better place, those who would like to contribute. Each and every one of us have an aspect of genius within us. All we have to do is touch upon it. All we have to do is work with it. And then we'll understand just how great each and every one of us are. Hope to talk to you soon. Hatapu, Uncle Chasanab.